with none of my friends. I turn the dial to ABC to see the creep of the week that Bobby Donald defends. But I'm out of practice.
With your hosts, Keith Varney.
Out of practice.
And I am Mike Indeglio.
Way back in high school, most every night, my mom watched QVC, so I missed the practice. There was no TiVo, what could I do? Wait 15 years, get fat, then stream it on Hulu. Out of practice.
I put on a shirt with stripes, still fat.
Out of practice.
Back from vacation?
Out of practice.
And welcome to the Out of Practice podcast, a weekly podcast in which Mike and I discuss an award-winning 20-something-year-old series, David E. Kelley's The Practice. This week we are up to season 6, episode 13, Judge Not, which could mean a lot of different things when you really think about it. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, it's going good. Welcome back to the Out of Practice podcast, everyone. Thanks for bearing with us on our week off. Keith, there was a famous movie that came out where the catchphrase was, life finds a way. And finally, after all of this time of the podcast, life found a way to get in the way. And we couldn't make it happen.
It's amazing. I mean, we're in 100 and something episodes in, and it's our first official week off. Now we've done a couple of times where we've had a week off, but we were able to double up before we did it. But this one came as a surprise. But I think we have built a level of trust between us and our loyal audience member.
Yes.
That we're gonna come back. Don't worry. It's just 1 week. We're totally here.
We're here. Get used to it. The self-editing has gotten much better over the years. Has it? I don't know. What did you do with your week off? What have you been up to?
Well, actually, last weekend I was back in Cape May for the first time since quarantine, and to hang out with my the in-law family. And it was the first time that we've seen them all together, and the first time, I guess, post-pandemic-y, and we could actually hang out and interact normally.
Nice.
Now that everybody's been vaxxed for a while now, and we were able to spend a lovely weekend kind of doing what we did before times. So we had a lovely time. I will talk about the second component when we get into our everyone's favorite new subject.
Love it.
Segment. But yeah, what did you do?
Well, I'm juggling so many jobs, and a good portion of them are hypothetical in nature, which sucks. That's
so vague.
No, just a lot of self-tapes for various auditions, and
I don't believe I got my video that I was promised.
I will send it your way, actually.
Good.
Sure, since we promised. But also, I'm sure your wife can attest, you just a ton of projects for extra money. Like tomorrow I have to go into New York City for some sensitivity training, industrial, that I have to film. I have to play a manager who's talking about how he's grown.
Interesting.
So,
I was gonna say, I've been complaining to HR about you from day one, and I don't know if our CEO Jen was going to actually send you to sensitivity training.
Once, usually people by the time they've reached my age stop doing those jobs because they're beneath them. But I just will take all of the money, and it's quadruple what I would make in my day job.
Great.
Yeah, they pay a lot.
I would happily do industrials.
So I'm going to do that. And then I was trying to maybe learn to sing with this other group, but there's a whole story with that. There's just a lot happening. It's very busy. But you know what? Busy is good. And CEO Jen and I got tickets to the Stephen Colbert show on Monday. So
kidding.
we've been on the wait list for quite a while, and our number came up. I guess they're doing fully vaccinated audiences only, so I think that helped us. So, yeah, and I've been into New York back and forth a couple times, which is weird. The commute's not that bad. We've been able to do it. Just busyness, working, and life is slowly, not so slowly actually, returning to a semblance of normal, which is kind of cool. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff, but
no, I mean that all sounds exciting. I mean,
this guy's creeping me out, Keith.
What's happening?
This guy's creeping me out.
Our Easter egg, yes. I went to the Colbert show once, back when it was a Colbert Report. I went with my father the morning after Obama was elected for the first time, which was really fun because Colbert's character at that point was a conservative, and so he was not that happy. But the guest was John Lewis.
Oh, that's rad.
So cool. So really fun experience. And we should talk about self-tapes at some point because those are a nightmare.
Well, the ones that are able, and this is the ones I book generally, are the ones that are like they allow this close crop because this camera looks good. And just by the quality of the image, I think I booked this industrial. Sure. When I've got to stand up and put up the screen and do the whole thing, it gets less good because I have to rely on I had one for a network the other day, which almost never happens for me because I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? Attractive in the general sense of the word.
Oh, no, I think you are generally attractive. Sure.
I would agree, but then let's compare me to someone who works on TV a lot, like your brother-in-law, and then you quickly start to see the differences in what generally attractive versus TV attractive are. Different things.
But you're not going to be out for the same things that he is.
A week off has made you much more compassionate, apparently. Regardless, it was pretty funny because that
look, I spent the
in
weekend with him, so
there you go.
I
He beat you in Parcheesian, so you're going to be nice to me.
Yeah, fuck you. No.
Yes, but you recognize everyone in LA is probably submitting for this particular thing, and here I am in my 900-degree office space with a dinky ass blue screen up, and I'm just trying to do it at 12:45 at night because Jen had to be my reader and didn't get home from work until then, and she was doing a double and was in a pissy mood, and I was in a pissy mood, and you're like, yeah, this is gonna go well.
Oh, I am familiar with that dynamic.
Anyway.
Yeah. Interesting. In case anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, self-tape is an audition for a TV film thing, or it can be a theater thing too, that you just have to tape yourself and upload and send them as opposed to go in person to an audition. That's all.
Yes.
All right. Well, let us move forward to the most important segment of this show, period. It's a segment we call... We have tried for years to make this podcast a success.
We failed.
It's time to give the world what it wants.
Meow, meow.
Hot cat content.
Meow, meow.
Hot cat content.
Meow, meow.
Hot cat content. Yeah, so do you have any hot content before
I guess let's jump right into it.
I guess we're going straight into it. Our newest segment that I told Mike about 3 minutes before air. It's our cat photo of the week to entice you, to beg you to come check us out on the YouTubes, because here is a picture of Charlie taken this week, the cat photo of the week.
Awesome.
And I guess I'll go first then, since it's sort of right there, blocking us both. Yes, so when we went to Cape May, we took Charlie along for Charlie's first ever road trip. And we took him in the car. It's about a 2 and change hour drive. So we're really not quite sure how he'd do. We were, concerned about it. So we packed up basically his entire world. Like everything he's ever seen, touched, smelled, or looked at from our house into our car. And took him down to Cape May, and he did fine. He was nervous in the car for a bit because he hates his carrier. But once we got on the highway, I took him out, and he basically just like sat on my lap and like looked around the entire time. And it was nice. He was very cuddly because he was like, what the hell is this? Then we put him on in his own room, or our room in Cape May, got him acclimated, and as long as my parents-in-law's dogs were not there, he took him about half an hour. He's like, "Oh, I own this house too. Look at me. This is all mine." And so he did really well, all things considered. I think he's happy to be home.
Yeah, always.
But his mother-in-law brought him a huge crate of new toys. So he's the most spoiled cat in human history. But we felt bad traveling with him, but it was better than like leaving him alone for 3 days. So anyway, he's spoiled.
We I have a little bit of cat news. My sister got 2 kittens, so we got to go
from
over
your mother-in-law.
No. These are just different kittens. This is
unrelated to the barrel of kittens you're already trying to deal with. Okay.
Yes. So we went over and visited them. They were great, and I apparently became like I knew everything about cats. I was like, you really should let's place them into the litter box. And because I spoke with authority, my sister just assumed that I knew what the hell I was talking about. When in reality, folks, spoiler alert, the cats do what they're going to do. Cats,
Yeah, they sure are.
Yeah.
Cats are going to cat.
Jen has come around the bend to getting the 3rd cat.
I'm not sure I'm around the bend.
Yeah, I know how you're feeling, but we really kind of swung and missed with Dee Dee, so we're gonna try to do a mea culpa and get Cece a friend. These cats seem to be already at like almost 10 or 11 weeks. She says they're very social and very affectionate, so by now you probably get a good sense of it. And we're just trying to pick out which one. One of them looks exactly like Charlie Jr., so we were like, oh, that'd be funny.
Definitely.
Especially if we name him like Charlie the Third or something. We won't do that.
Of course, that's exactly what you should do.
So we just got to figure out now. Life has made some complications on. We have to get to North Carolina, somewhere in Carolina to get the cat.
Oh,
North Carolina, Washington, North Carolina. My mother-in-law lives in. Anyhow, so yeah, the cats are doing good. Everybody's good. It's summertime. They want to go outside, so they just live on the deck, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, and Charlie lives in his room or staring out at us from the window above our patio. So
let's wave goodbye to Oops Cat.
All right, bye, Oops Cat, and let us move forward with we have everybody's favorite commentator and the love of Mike's life. It will be talking in Filings and Subpoenas. But first, let's hear from our good friend moderator in a segment we call Filings and Subpoenas. Filings and Subpoenas. Filings and Subpoenas. Filings and Subpoenas. So we, of course, have heard from moderator Phoenix Cage, who wrote about last episode in which we saw Bobby dealing with the trauma from his assault in the jail cell. And we were talking about how everyone in the entire show has gone through like horrific trauma at least once a season. And Phoenix says, yes, everyone in this office has seen some shit. Some have been shot, others have been exploded, but this one, the Bobby one, is different. Those events happened in a fraction of a second, whereas Bobby spent several minutes in a fight for his life against his own client as he waited for what he felt like an eternity for help to arrive. Even having been held hostage doesn't quite measure up to that level of psychological intensity. So I think it's quite plausible that this event would have a lasting effect, even if others didn't. And I get that. I mean, I know that being restrained during a trauma, being confined during a trauma escalates the effect of that trauma. And certainly there's a lot of time there. I think you could argue that when he was held at gunpoint for like hours by a boy band, that also escalated the time. And while he wasn't in a physical struggle the whole time, he was assaulted and threatened with a gun. So I get that. You know, and of course, you have to factor in that everybody deals with trauma in a different way. So who knows whether it's a split second or a long time was going to have a different effect on different people. But that is a really good point, and I think we were not giving enough weight to the length of that fight.
Yeah, and I would say that I thought it was shot very well, because the one thing that separated, I think, and I agree with you, I still tend to think being held hostage all day and then the SWAT team comes in and you're not sure how that's going to pan out.
Oh, and somebody got shot in the face like 6 inches from you.
So that's pretty intense too. But I will say this, what they did in that episode 2 weeks ago for us was they shot a close-up of Bobby's face, and I think even though he fought for his life, there was a moment where he sort of resigned because he had been beaten. And you see him slowly kind of fading. And I think he, in his mind, came to the realization that he was dead. He was going to be dead. And that's, I've never really faced my mortality in that sort of way. So I can imagine that's pretty traumatic. So
I think that's a really good point, actually, because he actually had a moment there where he decided it was done, where I don't think anybody else has had that specific moment.
You know, the other thing I wanted to bring up, and this is my bag, I'm bringing my issues into this.
It's the best part about our podcast.
I hope that in that moment where he was facing his mortality, he felt guilty for the total screw job he gave Lindsay this a couple episodes ago. I think I'm still hurt by that. I'm still hurt by the Black Widow thing. Not only that Bobby's sort of, look, I'm a married man. I understand that, like, there are other pretty people out in the universe and things happen, but he had every opportunity to, like, recuse himself from that case or to do whatever but what he did was not only, like, admit his feelings to this lady, but then lie to Lindsay. And we, as an audience, are just supposed to be cool with it because the show decided, oh, it's cool. Nothing happened. She went to prison, so it's good.
And you're 100% right. And this actually ties together with what Phoenix was saying, because what Bobby did with the Black Widow, it wasn't a momentary flash. It wasn't a surprise kiss. This took place over time, over a long time. So this, even if it was just an emotional affair, which, you know, I think can be argued is just as bad as a physical affair, but it took place over a great deal of months. So it wasn't just like, I made a mistake. It was like, I'm calculating, planning, continuing to make this decision over a long time. I've slept on it, and I'm like, I still want to keep doing this. So I agree with you. And,
yeah, you know, and like, I'm sorry, we're talking about an old episode, but they didn't even write it in a way that sort of, that we see Bobby have an epiphany or a realization that he had made a mistake or something. He just kind of like, they kind of write it off.
See it develop. It's just sort of like, oh, by the way, this is happening.
At the end where he's like, no, there was just something about her that made me want to take care of her. And you're like, well, that's not what you said to her. Anyway.
No.
Back to the drawing board here. Phoenix, we have come around the bend to agree mostly with you.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I feel like that's pretty good.
It's pretty
mostly
good.
Agree.
Yeah.
I'll take that anytime. Well, but while we're talking about broken hearts.
Uh-oh.
And
shattered dreams.
You know, when you put yourself out there, when you give all of your heart and soul and self.
And best impression you can do.
The best impression that anyone has ever done. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. And unfortunately, we have heard from the true owner of Mike and Deglio's heart. And that is, we heard again from my mother, who just prepare yourself emotionally, Mike. This is, you know, your heart, hold your heart close.
The heart wants what it wants.
It does. My mom says, okay, you wise guys. Although it took me a while to get around to listening to your response to my complaint, the hot topic of the day, I will have to honestly admit that you both made me laugh out loud.
Hey,
oh, thank God. I will
success.
agree to make a wary quasi peace with Mike. And I challenge you both to a hike up my hillside if you dare come to Vermont any season. She will do this challenge in 5 feet of snow. No problem. She has snowshoes. She will kick our butts. But beware, fair warning, it's deep, dark woods, so look out for lions and tigers and bears and catamounts. Love to you both, Keith's mom.
Keith's mom, everyone. I do declare. That was classy. A classy response. And I will...
To a very unclassy segment we've been doing.
Listen, I'm glad we've made a peace. I hope you're at peace with my impression because I feel that it's...
I don't think she's heard that.
Well, I guess right back and let me know what you think of that because it's probably not going anywhere.
It's not... And the kicker to this story is I'm actually going up to Vermont tomorrow.
Oh boy! Well, I hope that she's a few weeks behind.
I'll get to see my folks for the first time since the pandemic, so I'm pretty excited about it. All right. Well, if you would like to let Mike down gently, you can email us at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at outofpracticepodcast. And while you're doing it, let us all down gently and leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other. I just accidentally did a Southern accent on Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts.
Or any other, podcasting service of your choice. Let us know. We will happily welcome you gratefully into the jury. Read your comments, good, bad, or ugly, on the air. Okay, it is finally time to hop back into the time machine, back to February 17th, the year 2002, and answer the question, hey, what was going on
this day in the basement?
You know, it turns out, as rarely happens, Keith, I know exactly where and what I was doing.
Ooh,
you have
fun.
a little bit more of a finger on the pulse of Keith Varney's life with that sweet, sweet email that you do a hard copy backup of, I just learned, which is both insanely obsessive and also apparently effective.
Who does a hard copy backup?
You keep
I don't
all
have a
your
hard
emails.
copy backup.
Well, no, okay. I meant digital backup. You back up your emails.
Yes, I do. Like, did I print out every email I've ever done?
That would be very
years?
obsessive. No, I just rely on the Gmail, but I've lost a year's worth. I used to have an email address for our band, for all these things. I wish I'd kept those emails. Man, it'd be awesome to have kept those emails. But I do remember what I was doing today because this was back in the very, very poor, broke school days, and they would always post tickets for stuff and for free stuff. And there's many of regrets I have from those days, but one of the biggest regrets I have is that I didn't go to all of the free stuff. We just selected. Now, one of the things we used to love to go to was we would try to find tickets to opening day or near opening day stuff at the Met. Because what the Met would do is when they would open their operas, or sometimes even just like a general performance of their operas, is they would have like past hors d'oeuvres if you got there early enough.
Ooh.
And so we would try to get tickets for that so we could get free food because we was broke.
He was hungry.
One such occasion I'll never forget, because they did not have any food at this performance, and I had to put on my mismatched suit that I used for juries. But the pants were a different pinstripe than the jacket, but that's what I had, so it's what I wore. That you remember the days. Anyway, I went to see.
You mean today?
Yeah, right. The Met's production, and I need to pull up. This is of the 4-hour opera War and Peace.
Oh, wow.
Which I have. You can't appreciate it at all. Let's see. Do I got it? Yes. You can't appreciate it at all because you just can't see it here. But not only was there a cast of, I think, 60 principals in this show.
Yeah.
But the supers, I guess the chorus and the extras of the opera, they're numbered, I believe, 250. So at any given time, there could be up to 300 people on stage. That's what I remember about this opera, Keith. that it was 4 hours long.
Giant.
And you felt very the set was impressive, but it was scary. It was too many people. And the Met stage is huge, but it was too many people. And I wish I was there for this part of the story. So, full disclosure, we did not stay. 4 hours didn't quite. Had I paid for tickets, I don't even think I would have stayed. It's just too long. The opera is not for me and my ADD.
It's a Prokofiev opera, in case you're wondering.
Yes, yes. If you want details, I encourage you to Google it because I remember there's a lot of people. That's my memory of it. They didn't have food, and those were two very big strikes. When we didn't see the food, we were like, we should just go. But this performance that I went to, but unfortunately left, turns out in the final 15 minutes of the show, one of the extras fell off the stage into the pit. And it was so scary that it's mentioned in the two reviews that I pulled up. One's in the Times, one's in the Post. And they actually had to come on the God mic to let the audience know that this extra was okay. Because it was kind of concerning. So just goes to, I don't think they've had 300 plus people on the Met stage subsequent to that. I think this kind of taught them a lesson. So that's exactly what I was doing. Actually, to be fair, it was on the 18th. So it was the day after this episode, but close enough.
We'll allow it.
Yeah.
Wow. So cool. Yeah. I used to get in a very similar situation. I had a friend who worked in the group sales, got to go see a lot of stuff at City Opera, which is the other opera company at Lincoln Center, or at least it was then. It's sort of like to call it like the junior varsity would be wrong because they're extraordinarily good. Yeah. But it's sort of right next to there. And I saw a bunch of their dress rehearsals actually, which is really cool. I saw an opera version of Dead Man Walking from that movie.
Yeah,
I think really entertaining.
I believe I saw that too.
Did you?
Or did they do a? Yes. I did see that.
It had naked people. That's what I remember.
We saw it as well. Yeah.
And I saw an opera version of Little Women, which was stunning. It was, and then I saw the Broadway version like the next year, and I was like, that's not as good.
Less stunning.
Anyway, this has been Opera Moment with Mike and Keith. And speaking of opera, not quite opera, but in the opera studio, what I was doing was I was beginning rehearsals for Eastman Opera's production of Stephen Sondheim's Passion, which was very interesting. At that point, Eastman really wasn't doing a lot of musical theater. Although they did Sweeney Todd, I think a couple of years after I left, which I was pissed off to have missed. So I was starting rehearsals to play Colonel Ricci in Passion. And when we get up to the performance, I have some pictures from it, as well as as the story of what I enjoyed most about that production, which had nothing to do with me performing in the show. So anyway, what an unbelievable score Passion has. And
so good.
It's not one of the Sondheim shows where people, it's never on anybody's like, that's my number one Sondheim score, because it's very dark and it's slow moving, and but it's incredibly heart-wrenching if you either are or know the type of person and the psychology of Fosca. And it's a really fascinating show. Beautiful score. Check it out. They filmed the Broadway version. It is available. You can actually watch it with Donna Murphy. And anyway, so really fun. I'll talk more about it later, but that's what I was doing. I was beginning rehearsals to do that. So in order to spare the rest of your life, let us move forward and talk about...
It's time for the Out of Practice Podcast's This Day in the World. The greatest hits, the biggest movies, headlines from Vermont, essential sports updates, and for some inexplicable reason, the weather from 20 years ago. Now back to Keith and Mike.
Okay, folks, we are talking again about February 17th, the year 2002. The top song was Always on Time, with Ja Rule featuring Ashanti. The top movie was John Q. Do you remember that one? The Denzel Washington movie?
Yeah, barely.
Yeah. He takes a hospital hostage to get his kid some healthcare.
Okay.
Glad we solved the healthcare problems. I mean, we nailed it. Anyway, entertaining. I don't think I've seen it in 20 years. The cover of the Berlin Free Press talked about packing in prisoners. There was a Vermont bed shortage in the prisons, which you wouldn't imagine in Vermont. Yeah, so we solved that problem by privatizing all of our prisons. Whew, that worked out great for everybody. Oh my God. Yeah, so that's what was going on in the world. And now let's do everyone's second favorite segment now after Hot Cat content. It's a segment we call...
It's time for sports.
The NHL was on the Olympic break, but the NHL All-Stars were playing for their national teams. This week, the U.S. team beat Finland 6-0, tied Russia 2-2, and blew out Belarus 8-1 to win Group D. Brian Leach, Mike Modano, Brett Hull, Jeremy Roenick led the team, and with Vermont's own John LeClaire. Meanwhile, Canada's team was led by Mary Lemieux, Steve Yzerman, Joe Sakic, and Marty Brodeur. Canada would beat the U.S. in the finals, taking the gold, leaving the U.S. silver medal. The U.S. with the silver medal. Sentences are difficult for me today.
Keith, the Olympics are this summer. I'm so excited. Simone Biles.
I know. We were watching some of the qualifying.
Insane.
If only they'd actually, let her be as awesome as she is and not penalize her for her own excellence.
Listen, it's the story of my life, man.
So are you saying that you're the Simone Biles of podcasts about the practice?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Are we being penalized for our excellence? Are we just so much better than other podcasts that that's why nobody watches or listens?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. It's like a triple back pod nut. That's like my
triple back pod nut.
Let's move forward. Let's
no. I want you to describe to me what a triple back pod nut is.
That's like when you've got to segue to a bumper, right? Mm-hmm, but you were just talking about like trauma and sexual abuse, and yet you've got to get to Oops Hot Cat content. Right. You've got to maneuver and do like a triple back pod nut segue to get there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, let's do a triple back pod nut and talk. I want a t-shirt. # triple back pod nut.
Yeah. I was wearing my Out of Practice podcast tee to Dick's Sporting Goods yesterday, and this couple was walking out, and I saw them blatantly stare at my t-shirt and then start whispering to one another. I can only imagine they were like, what a fucking loser.
That guy clearly has a podcast. We should put him on a watch list somewhere. Perfect. All right. Well, let us show mercy to our audience and...
I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. And I'm not going to take this anymore.
We tried. No, stop it. Stop it. We were doing so well.
We were doing so well. I guess we did not stick the landing of our triple fist pod nut. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's try again.
All right, here we go.
I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. And I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's time to talk about the damn episode.
Okay, we are talking about The Practice, Season 6, Episode 13, Judge Not. Is it a judge whose name is Not? Not is spelled with a K, so is it getting tied up in knots with a judge? Or is it Judge Not, lest you be judged?
Oh, man.
I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, but I'll tell you, this show has a teleplay by Jeff Rake, and this is his only episode of The Practice. He also wrote on The Street, Mismatch, and he created the show Manifest, which this week is the #1 show on Netflix and got canceled. I don't know what's going on there. What a weird situation. And it also has a story by Crystal Nix Hines, who only worked on 2 episodes of The Practice. She last wrote on Vanished Part 1. So if you hate this episode, no more of these people. If you love the episode, tough.
Hey, fresh blood can't hurt, though.
Fresh blood, yeah. And was directed by Denny Gordon, the veteran director who last directed on Legacy. Which
That's
leaves
a Raymond
us.
Oz. Legacy was
That
Raymond
was
Oz.
a Raymond Oz. Yeah, we had to drink every time he said Legacy. And leaves us with only one more thing to do, and that is ask the question. Guitar.
Supposed to be. What's your problem?
Keith, your guitar sounds.
Is this
The
what
new
happens to
Contact
women when you
VSDs
insert
are going to be
your
so
penis?
good.
What?
What?
What does Mike think's gonna happen?
You know, what if he would have drank the curdled milk? Then what would have happened?
You know, when you made me turn down my cans, now I can't hear what you say during the bumpers again.
I said your guitar sounds with your new Contact VSTs are going to sound so good.
I know. I should send you the demo of what I'm working on.
You said you were going to do that yesterday. You didn't do it.
Do you really care?
And no. So, you posed a lot of better questions about this episode than I even thought about. But what I was really working off of here was this. All right. Before I saw anything else.
Our slate.
So I also recognized that I have sort of dropped the ball with my predictions the last few weeks. They haven't been great, if we're being honest with one another. So this week, I'm going for it here. I'm going to combine our sexy pitch, and I'm going to be specific. Here's what I think is going to happen. Bobby is defending a client, okay, who has, his case is ironclad. He's got an ironclad alibi. That is something fancy. It's like it's like a something with like there was a hanging or some sort of murder with a rope, and it has to do with the knot of the news.
Okay.
That is the exculpatory evidence that Bobby is certain will get us out. However, I've been pitching it for weeks that Helen was going to get involved with ADA Low, right?
Right.
No. Bobby's starting to lose the case.
She's not.
Oh, look at that. So Bobby's starting to lose the case. Something's fishy's happening, and he catches a whiff of what might be an inappropriate relationship taking place between Helen Gamble, the DA of the case, and the judge. Ooh. There's going to be a smoke show judge, and Bobby doesn't know if something improprietous is happening or what. So we've got mega conflict. We've got an illicit relationship. We've got a weird like shipping knot or something. All these things come together for a sort of a bottle episode of The Practice where it's very focused, no B case. We're just like talking about this. And it could be the end of Bobby's friendship with Helen Gamble.
Oh my God.
Damn,
That's a good one. I like it. Here's your payment. I'll play it. Here's some of the guitar.
I hear no guitar.
It's a little bit. It's in the background. That was just some of the electric, but yeah, it's got you'll hear it's on Zoom.
All right, hold on. Because you've done that, Keith, I'm going to give you just my slate. Just the slate.
Yes, give me the slate.
All right, hold on.
Can you show it to us?
Yeah, hold on. Hello, I'm Michael Indeglio, and I'm with Across the Board Talent, and I'm 5'7" and a half. I am currently in Pennsylvania, and my home base is New York City. As far as dancing, I took some dance classes in college, but I am always willing to learn or simply make a fool of myself. Dealer's choice. Vivian? Please come on, we're not.
Oh my God! You almost gave away some of the audition. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's what the embarrassment of our freaking lives is, people. So just many of those.
Guys, we have just bared our souls for you here on the Out of Practice podcast, and now it is time to spare your souls and move forward. And you can listen to us watch the episode of The Practice. Hop over to your podcasting service of choice.
Oh, I thought you had like a whole spiel, but no, we're just going with that.
No, that's it.
Stare at the QR code that it takes 15 seconds of my life every week that is completely pointless. But at the time, it felt great. It felt great.
Yes, that 15 seconds. That feels great, but nobody notices.
Yeah, AKA my marriage. All right, moving forward.
Can't wait for Jen's text on that one.
Where will Mike cut the episode here? And we are back, baby.
We are indeed back. We have just watched and or listened to The Practice Season 6 episode.
We developed a lisp and a speech impediment.
I have a lisp now, apparently. Been sitting here for a while.
Yeah, I feel you.
Apparently, my tongue is in knots.
Whoa!
Because we just watched Judge Not, which is not a good pun. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
All right. Well, if there's some way. Okay, wake up. Here we go. Woo! If there's some way that we could explain what just happened, perhaps in a segment we like to call
2, 3, 4. Mike has 30 seconds to remember what just happened on the show. Segment.
You son of a bitch. I got no time. There's this.
You should never have said that.
There's a crooked judge, and Bobby and Helen have to team up and bring him down in a very low-tech sting operation. But guess what? They get him, and then he gets himself with a big old bullet. But he tries to bring Bobby with him with a rogue file, but Helen says, you know what? I'm going to shred it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. Could you tell us all of that again, but in fewer syllables, please? In a segment we call...
oh yeah, I do the thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you do the thing, remember? We're on vacation.
Oh, is it me or did the sound go away?
I don't have any sound, no. I don't think you've started the video.
I did.
Hi, Oopsie!
Yes, well done. Thank you, sir. I am doing it on the fly, if you couldn't figure that out.
Fly, Oopsie!
Judge is on the take.
Nice.
Bobby and Helen catch him.
Yes.
Goes out with a bang.
Yes. Well done again. Wow, you're quite good at this. Where's the... You deserve a claps for that, but I don't know where I put it. There we go. Yeah, there it is.
Did we stop Instagramming them? Did they haven't really that went away.
I need to do that. I'm so far behind on the Instagram. It's not even funny. I haven't even done like the oopsies for 2 weeks.
Life finds a way to get in the way.
Life finds a way to ruin my Instagram. But I'm going to do them all for the season recap.
Right,
Don't worry. But before we get to the season oopsies, we have this episode oopsies entitled
Ladies and gentlemen, the Out of Practice podcast in unofficial, unsolicited,
my brain is
unfactual
entitled
association with David E. Kelly Productions proudly present
Oopsie.
The Oopsies! Celebrating excellence in acting good, lawyering good, guesting good, and being Tom Brady. Not to mention, this is where we rate the episode and stuff. Now, here are your hosts, Keith and Mike.
What the hell are the oopsies?
That's a fair question.
Well, I'll tell you, Jackie. I think we've been on camera for a while.
No. You know what, Keith? You're looking at the preview screen.
I'm looking at the
Rest
preview.
assured that everyone else is seeing the right thing, but I'll give you the right view now.
Oh God. Okay, good. Because like I was like, oh God, are they gonna see what we look like while the segment bumpers?
No, I'd never
We're
let
like,
that happen to you.
da 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 da. Da.
Keith, you know what it's time for? No, give me the right key. I'm gonna I'm gonna give it a try. Most valuable life. I had to flip it. I had to fucking flip it. No one could do that.
Let's see if I was right. I might be wrong. No, I was right. Okay.
Most valuable. Why can't Guys, I want everybody to know that I'm really trying. All right, wait, hold on. One more. I'm gonna hurt myself.
Breathe.
Most valuable
If we just listen to this, I can't even breathe enough to laugh.
I quit. I tried. I hurt myself.
Whew, well, enjoy the new version of that bumper forever.
So the case this week was fake, right? There was only one actual case, and that was the federal case. So
yes,
some would say that by default, by this simple syntax of our award, we would have to give it to not the silver guy.
You could say that, although I would argue that Helen was still operating as a lawyer, doing the negotiations and making the deal with the judge, which I'm not sure why she would have standing to there, except for there was some debate that there is some federal charges and some state charges, and she was handling the state charge part of it.
You'd think she would recuse at that point, right? And they would have one of the other ADAs come in.
Sort of. I mean, she was a part of the sting, but I don't think she was a material witness or something, because she wasn't part of the behind the scenes part. I don't know. Good question. But I'd say that, I mean, she kept fighting and got the clerk involved and escalated the term. I mean, the outcome wasn't great for pretty much anybody. But
Plus, not quite silver guy was also not acting in capacity of a lawyer, right?
Right. It's true. Yeah, he was as a federal agent.
So I think by default, you're right. I think it's Helen Gamble this week.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations, Helen Gamble, on your MVL. Helen doesn't get a lot of those.
That's true.
But we're psyched that she did.
Well, you know what? Also, let's not forget, but at the end of the episode, she also broke the law. So and destroyed evidence. So there we go.
Well, look, as a lawyer, I guess she was doing that as a lawyer too.
It was in her office.
It's always most valuable, not most. Why do I have a list?
I don't know. Let's go ahead. Already famous
because you've been on TV, getting a paycheck. Or the first entry on your IMDb. Way to go, you're the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor on the episode.
You're going to put that on the soundboard, aren't you, you son of a bitch?
Are you kidding me? I'm going to do so much with that.
If you put a beat to it, then I'll allow it.
If I could make a T-shirt out of a WAV file.
I think you might have heard the end of my career. I was as a singer. I hurt myself pretty good.
Oh, you got to send that to me as soon as we're done. What were we talking about? Oh, best guest actor. Yes.
We have two great options here.
We do.
Keith will name them.
Bruce McGill is the obvious.
Yep.
I'm assuming you're talking about Dennis Boutsikaris.
Yeah, Dennis Boutsikaris
as fake Ron Silver.
Some would say he knocked the Boutsikaris out of this episode. He was great. He played...
Boutsikaris.
My name is Dennis Boutsikaris. I'm going to go and kick your sore ass. Anyway, the wheels are falling off, people. We've reached that point. And as great as he was, the truth of the matter is that by the sheer monologue alone, I think we know that he was just excellent. He was great in the monologue. He was great in the bench scenes. He was great across the board. I think this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, Bruce McGill, absolutely. I mean, it's a great showy role, and he's able to give that kind of a performance, and he knocked it out of the park, like really. And what
I liked the most actually was that a combination of the writing and his performance, though. Even though he's the villain, he justifies himself pretty square at the end. I mean, yes, clearly he's flawed, and yes, clearly he's committed felonies,
criminal offenses.
Yeah.
Yes,
but he still he maintained his personal integrity at least, and was able to. No one could really say he wasn't fair in a lot of these cases, and it was. I just thought they didn't just paint him out to be a bad guy, just a simple villain. It was really nuanced in many ways, and I really appreciated that. And he brought that nuance to his performance as well.
And on top of that, I think what made him a compelling villain was that he was intensely charming while he did it. Like, you can see how that guy charms an entire room full of people, how he holds attention, how you want to like him, you want him to like you. And that's like, those are all elements of the character that Bruce was able to bring in. So, congratulations, Bruce McGill, on your best guest actor.
And what I liked actually also, and I'll piggyback on this when we get to the tires, is talk about a villain. Like, if he had stayed alive and made that accusation to Bobby, they could call him as a witness, press him. He would need to then be cross-examined on his accusation of Bobby. But since he knew he was going out, the screw job to Bobby is that much more of a knife twist, because outside of Bobby, no one can ever say 100% that it didn't happen.
There's no one to refute any of it.
Yeah. Pretty badass.
Yeah. Which of course makes you wonder, so if Bobby wasn't real, how many of his people who've ever pissed him off in his life who he implicated that didn't do it?
Yeah.
Like, it's all good questions. And certainly, like, I mean, there's nobody to, I mean, unless what he's put in there is irrefutable evidence, like people can't really face their accuser unless they can prove it.
There's a great line they put in there too, the writers, where he says right before he shoots himself too, he's like, no one has gone through this. Not my clerks, not my office, just me.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. All right, let's hand out some more hardware in a segment we call You Killed Your Podiatrist or Blew the Case, but you let a single tear run down your face. You're the best actor on the show.
I really think this is a week that was born for a splitsy. I thought that it was a joint episode between Lara Flynn Boyle and Dylan McDermott, and I actually think they did some of their best work. It started a little rough. I thought that Drunk Helen was a little schlocky, and I was like, oh crap, what are we gonna do here? But that's costuming, that's the writing, that's the comedic beat they're going for. You can't really put that on Lara Flynn. She did it's not like you can come in and give like a Brechtian portrayal of someone who's had too much to drink at a party. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It's a comedic beat to open a television show. So that aside, the performances here were nuanced. The motivations for the characters were complicated, right? They're what they were trying to achieve, and the kind of screws being put to them, Dylan specifically. And like I mentioned before, I loved the way that Dylan, who's often asked to sort of Bobby McRambo and go to 11, was able to find a way to still slow build that, even though he got to that point, 45% into the episode. Really thought it was excellent. I thought the scene at the end between Dylan and Helen, though you mentioned there's that tension there, but that rings true. They do have a history, and their friendship and professional relationship has been through many challenges, ups, downs. It's come to a head at a few times. It's been adversarial. It's been, in this case, cooperative. And, it's interesting. Jen and I were talking last night about the idea of shared trauma because we were watching The Handmaid's Tale, which is for another conversation, and just what trauma and getting through trauma with certain people, how it can bond you. I don't know, regardless of what Helen and Bobby have been through together, I don't know that Helen, even a year ago, shreds that file. I don't know, right? I know she trusts Bobby, but I don't know that. But this experience really brought them, I think, together. And the fact that he was her first call, I'm getting into spare tires. I really thought this episode was written excellently, spoiler alert. But I just thought this is some of their best work, absolutely, of the season for sure. And I think in the pantheon of the series that we've seen so far, I think this is some of their best work, especially together. I throw out highlights. Kelly Williams, great performance as not even a featured player. Great performance. But I think this one, if I had to pick, I'm going to give the edge to Dylan McDermott. But I'm hoping that maybe you'll throw your vote somewhere else.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm glad you said that because I actually was very much in the Lara Flynn Boyle camp. Not because Dylan didn't do a fantastic job. He did. But I thought like Lara had a lot of heavy lifting to do. And actually, speaking of good drunk performances, it's so hard to do well. But you know who crushed it recently? Evan Peters on Murder Dirter. Mayor of Easttown. Like, he has a drunk scene in there, which is phenomenal. And I was like, watching him do that made me nauseous. Like, I imagined being that drunk and was like, oh God, I'm going to puke. I'm going to puke all day.
He's excellent. Evan Peters is excellent.
Yeah. Anyway, unrelated, entirely unrelated. But yeah, no, I thought Lara did a really, really good job throughout this whole episode, the scene at the end, and obviously they're playing something going on between Helen and Bobby here, and something going on between Helen and Lindsay, because obviously things are wonky in that relationship right now, and everybody can sort of tell, and everyone's sort of not really talking about it yet, but it's interesting. Yeah, so definitely I'm giving mine to Lara Flynn, so congratulations, Lara Flynn Boyle. And Bobby Donnell himself, Dylan McDermott. All right, let's get into the most important one.
The Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
Let's put it on the internet, baby. Tom Brady accepting bribes. Tom Brady.
I'm sure it's already on the internet.
I know, this one should be an easy one. Let's add to it.
The easiest one in the world. Okay, let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce how many spare tires this episode gets.
Guys, I mentioned it before. I really liked this episode. I thought that the performances were solid. They generally are. I thought that the writing, Keith, you shouted out the two sort of easy come, easy go writers, and I'm in the latter camp. I loved the episode, and I'm sad that we're not going to see. I thought it was everything we like. We got the great scene of the strategic meeting, which gave everybody else in the cast a paycheck this week. The case was super cool. It, on its surface, the faux case seemed, I wasn't particularly into it, but then right away they show you the MacGuffin right away, and we find out what the big picture is. A lot of tension. The stakes are super high for Bobby, and the way it plays out is interesting. We were put into really realistic situations. All of the characters behaved in a realistic way that you as an audience member don't have to shout, oh, that's stupid, which we often do. They behave rationally and professionally and with integrity for the most part, which is really cool. And but even through the end, we have some fear for Bobby. We're not sure how it's going to play out. And even though it seems like he gets away, I shouldn't say gets away with it. It seems like the thing is resolved because Helen shreds the file. We're still left with two of the people we love in the episode, love in our cast, Hellen and Bobby, with some with issues, with some trauma, with some existential crises. And notwithstanding Bobby's relationship woes. So what I loved is it wasn't quite a bottle episode, but it was a self-contained story, right? It sort of stood on its own, which I loved, and it was a focused A story. I really, when I pull up the IMDb, I usually see what the rating is, and they had I think the rating for this on IMDb is like a 7.8, and I have to say, I disagree. I think this was an excellent episode. Absolutely one of my favorites of the season, I think. I'm going to go as far as to say it is a 9.21 spare tires.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I liked this episode too. I really liked many elements of it, right? I liked the idea, I liked the setup. Taking down a corrupt judge, it's not something we've done before. It is something that is within this world and could conceptually happen. I like the sort of setting up the internal stakes that they really like this judge, and this judge is really well respected. So you're not taking down some, nobody judge. And I think that's great. I think the performances are great, that the direction was really good. The nits that I have to pick are this. One, had we not had multiple previous last-second suicides, that would have been so much more impactful. And so it happened, and we were both like, "Yeah, of course." But
yeah, it's true.
And if we hadn't had it happen in front of Eleanor and Jimmy with Bruce Davidson, I think it happened at least another time that. It was sort of neutered by what came before it. I can see that as a possibility. I see, if this were a standalone episode that took place in a vacuum, I think that would have been more impactful. And I get it from, these writers, this was the only thing they did on the practice. So they're trying to go out with a bang, literally. And it was really good. So it's not, we've said this a few times about episodes this season. It's not the episode's fault what happened before it, especially if the same writer didn't do both.
Time out. I'm sorry, I always do this to you. They did. I'm gonna emphasize your nit. Not only is it the he shot himself. I'll give you that. But they made a whole scene about how Bobby couldn't even get through the security with his lock mic on.
I was going to bring that up.
Let alone the judge just rolls into a hearing after he's been arrested and is in custody and has a loaded pistol.
Yeah, where the fuck did he get a gun?
Yes, that's weird.
Yes, unless here I'll try to put the bone back in. You're a corrupt judge, right? You've got you're whatever. The files that he's pulling are going to be in his office. The fact that the judge wouldn't, have stashed a gun in his office at some point previously, and if anybody can get a gun into a courtroom, and this could have been years before, it'll be a judge. Also, you're a judge. Somebody gets out, somebody comes after you. I get why that might be something they would want.
And I guess he was released on bail, right?
So
he was on bail.
And he doesn't care that if he's already breaking the law, who cares about sneaking a gun in? So it's possible. I can see a world in which it's possible that happens. The other thought that I had about it, and it's tough because Bruce McGill is so good, and I wish he had been a judge for us many times before. But since he isn't, I feel like this all would have had more impact if it were a judge we knew.
Kittleson or somebody of her ilk?
Why not Kittleson? Kittleson is no longer a major character on the show. She just comes in every once in a while. She's not going to be on much more. Like, wouldn't this be an awesome way to finish the Kittleson story? We already know she's unhinged. We're already invested in her. The consequences of all of this are heightened. So if I could rewrite the show from 20 years ago, like I do frequently, I make this a Kittleson story. And we find it because, we've done some work undermining Kittleson's integrity before, and that she's sort of ambiguously in as ambiguous morals and ambiguous stuff. Like, I don't know, it feels like a great way to finish the Kittleson story. Mm-hmm. And then you have Jimmy, the impact that it has on Jimmy, the impact that it has on Judge Hiller. I think that'd just be way cooler.
I don't disagree.
So, yeah, it's just a thought. But of course, like, you're writing a show that is still running. You don't know. Maybe I want to use Kittleson for more, but maybe you don't have her kill herself, because that was the other thought, that this is another episode that has sort of the MacGuffin, like you said, at the end, that rescues our character, our hero, at the last second. And
the
so
Deus
every time,
Machina.
Yes, exactly, the Deus Ex Helen, Judge Helen, that if we didn't do that, I think we'd have a really compelling storyline. Let's watch this trial. Let's watch Bobby fight for his integrity. Let's go through this process. I think that would be more interesting. And there are multiple times where we've been accused of murder, and at the end of the episode, they're like, "Oh no, never mind."
Yeah, and you wash your hands of it, and then we don't talk about it.
Yeah, we're passing up opportunities for really awesome storylines with big stakes that would make more sense if we have a giant stake arc that goes over 6 episodes, as opposed to having 6 giant stake episodes in a row, and then you start rolling your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I feel like that was a missed opportunity, and it's yet another missed opportunity they took because they don't want to be too serialized. Obviously, the intent of the show, whether it's David E. Kelley or whether it's ABC, they're like, let's not have long arcs. Let's keep these things relatively contained. Which, you liked.
I do like, because sometimes, only because I find that some of our bigger arcs, sometimes they work, but sometimes they get a little fatiguing, and it feels like the stakes get too big and then they don't follow through. So I actually appreciate when they lessen the arcs, but like you said, then you need to bring in writers who at least have some sort of concept of the continuity. You know what I mean? It does feel like sometimes they step out of the reality of the...
Well, as the showrunner of this fake show, my note would be the reason it feels fatiguing is that the stakes are not for our heroes.
Yeah.
Bruce Davidson's storyline became fatiguing because the stakes were for Bruce Davidson. If we put Eleanor on trial for murder, the stakes are not fatiguing because we're invested in that character. So I think that's really where it is. Anyway, all of that is a long way of saying
you're not giving it episode.
A 9. No, but I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I really did like the episode. I just don't think I liked it quite that much. So I'm going to give it 8.62 spare tires. So it's a very good episode.
Okay, I'll take it.
That's sort of what I feel. All right, there's only one more thing to do. It is time to reveal some eggs.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that. I went to the wrong thing that you can't see.
Look at that. The preview. No, we got to look at some eggs, sir.
Oop, that's not where we're going.
That's not the right thing.
Okay, things were going so well. Now okay. That's not.
We get another shot of drunk Helen, which is fun.
Where's the 2 shot? Oh, it's OBS is really feeling it.
Oh God.
Feeling the strain.
Oh,
okay.
man.
So let me get an, I'm sorry, close.
Mike's out of focus forehead.
I don't know. I just don't know. Who is that?
Well, folks, that is a picture of the real Donnie Brasco.
Hey!
Who's not actually called Donnie Brasco in real life, but this is the person that the movie was based on, the real guy.
Nice.
Referenced in the show by our good friend Lucy.
That makes sense.
So
that's a good one.
Yeah. I got to make some of them hard for you. They
Yeah,
can't all be Q in a bucket.
That was pretty awesome, though.
All right, folks. You know what? You've got through another episode of the Out of Practice Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to talk with us about this show, you can reach us on email at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Out of Practice Podcast. While you're there, you're typing on the internets, do us a huge favor. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other service of your choice. Let us know. We'll read it. We will welcome you onto the jury. Speaking of people who we are grateful for, this episode of the Out of Practice Podcast is brought to you by our founding sponsors, Jorge Navoa, CloudLover69, Leanne Wrights, Jennifer Masanova, and Kari Coon.
Did you know you can get your name on that list? You can do so by becoming a sponsor yourself, by giving us money. A one-time donation is cool, or you can give us a sustaining subscription because we're too lazy to make a Patreon, and there's just surely not quite enough of you. That said, you can also do us a favor by listening to our other shows. Check out KME Entertainment on YouTube, where you find this podcast, watch us play with action figures, and maybe talk wrestling and other things moving forward. Nerd, nerd, nerd. And when you've got some free time, take an Xbox 360, duct tape it to your chest, and record your best buddy saying laser sounds.
Laser sounds.